Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to not a stream, but a video. Today I just wanted to talk about the handhelds of the 20s. I think there's a lot of really cool shit being released this year and next year, and things that are being announced. So I figured I have a lot to say about it, so might as well talk about it. I've seen some videos that talked about maybe one or two of these things, but not all four. I won't be talking about the Switch OLED because, frankly, I just don't give a shit. When it comes to mainstream Nintendo consoles, I just have a chip on my shoulder from Nintendo, just with their reactions towards fan projects as well as the Smash Melee tournament. So I won't be looking at that. Although we will be looking at something of Nintendo because I'll still occasionally buy the Nintendo knick-knack here and there. But right now, what we're listening to is a dark wave horror synth special. So this is gonna get. So if there's ads for this, I'm not getting any of the money. And if there are no ads for it, well then that's normal. So anyway, let's talk about all this because there's a lot of really cool shit coming our way over the next few months. First off, the Steam Deck, the most gaming power you've ever held. $400. Some people have talked about this price. I think this price is actually good considering the specs, but we'll talk about that. Starts shipping December 2021. I think I'm in for the second quarter of 2022, so crazy. I just think this thing looks sexy as fuck. The only thing I'm really concerned about is these buttons right here. It's very, very high up. I don't mind the D-pad so much, maybe the buttons, although if we're trusting IGN's word at it, which I can understand if you do or don't. Well, I could understand if you don't more than you do, but they claim that's pretty good, and it's vaguely similar to how the Wii U pad looked, I believe. So I think overall the button layouts are nice. I actually really like that diagonal cut in the L1, L2, R1, R2. I think that's a really smart idea. And I love the fact there's gyro and touchpads on this thing. But Valve has announced this, and I think a lot of people are very excited about this, and they have every right to be, because I think this looks fucking sick. I really do. And, you know, maybe you won't be able to play everything at super high specs, AAA games. I would be surprised if you could play at high specs, but granted, at the screen size, it is. Even at 720p, which I believe is the standard for it, because it's just unnecessary to have a screen that small be anymore. It's just such a waste of power. I think it's still going to be cool to play at maybe even medium specs. I've seen a couple of videos on this idea of you get diminishing returns each level you go in quality. So going from low quality to medium quality specs on your games on PC, you see this huge improvement. Medium to high, you see a decent improvement. High to very high, really not so much. Ultra, really not so much. It really is just flexing nuts. But hey, if you got that GPU that can run everything in Ultra, fuck it, why not? But you're not missing too much. I think this shit looks good. I think this shit looks very good. Now, one thing people have been talking about is the storage, because that's the difference between... Let's see if we can find this shit. I actually really like that it comes with a case. I'm going to be real with you. Although the dock is going to be separate, it's not necessary, but the case is really nice and comes with it. But let's look at... Ooh. Look at that color change. Very fancy, Valve. Very fancy website you got here. 64 gigabyte eMMC internal storage. Some people say, oh, that's shit, you have to go the NVMe SSD internal storage. I've been running my games off of a hard drive for a long time just because it's good for storage. I like having less wear and tear on my SSD, especially since Windows has shat out on me so many times with these really, really fucking shitty Samsung SSDs. Pro tip, don't buy SSDs from Samsung. Western Digital is your boy. But honestly, running games off of a hard disk, the load times aren't as bad as you would think. And I don't think this thing is going to be that slow with the lower spec option, slapping a micro SD in this thing. I have a Raspberry Pi I run off of a micro SD, and it's fine. Just buy a higher end one. Just don't buy a shitty Walmart one. Buy, one of the higher ends or the highest end SanDisk, and you'll be set. I think honestly, this will be fine, especially for my purposes. I have a lot of indie games and lower spec games and older games that I really enjoy. But this is going to be so good for people who don't have the means or the space for a gaming PC, maybe never had the inclination to get one. This could be a great way to, get in there. And do believe they are taking a loss at this price on each unit, which is normal if you look into video game consoles. Everyone takes a loss because you get that money back in terms of game licensing and sales and peripherals. The only game systems that didn't do that were the Philips CDI and the 3DO, which were balls expensive, which is why they did so shitty. You kind of have to take a little hit if you want to stay competitive, which is the unfortunate reality. We'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about the Playdate. Oh god. But I just think this thing looks so fucking sick. I think if you're not pumped about this, you should be, honestly. I think, god, touchpads, gyro, thumbsticks. I'm not. Some people who play the Pro controller swear by these. I think this kind of looks weird, but hey, maybe I'll get into it. Really, I'm just wondering how this thing handles thermo throttling. What the fuck am I talking about? Thermal throttling, because there's no way this fucker doesn't get hot in there. But I'm pumped to see it. I'm gonna fucking get that shit. Well, day one when my reservation came in, I was a little hesitant. I waited like 2 days of considering it. Yeah, people are hating on micro SD cards. I've been using them for years on like 3DS, on Wii, on the Raspberry Pi. They're fine. They're fine. I love how you can set it up to your TV. Getting the dock would also be awesome, but man, it sucks that the dock is separate. I will say that. It does suck that the dock is separate. But being able to have right out the box your entire Steam library is insane, especially if you have a big library. Especially if you have a lot of weeaboo games like I do. Senran Gakura, or whatever the fuck it's called. The one with the samurai bikini chicks. Oh, God. But no, this is all good shit, man. I'm really pumped for this. I think this is going to be something very, very special. Yeah, hell yeah. And there's the dock. All these different ports, connect to a TV, Ethernet, so you don't have to be a Wi-Fi warrior if you play fighting games, which I've been fucking around with recently, getting my ass kicked. Guilty Gear Xrd, but I'm gonna start to stream more of those recently. I'm getting into them recent times. No porting required, only docking is allowed here. There we are. Alright, so that's the Steam Deck. Fucking looks awesome, right? Now, the next thing I want to talk about, the Game & Watch Zelda thing. Alright, this is more of a novelty. I mean, they're celebrating, what, the 35th? Did I got that right? 35th anniversary? Yeah, boy. And they did the same thing for Mario last year. But I wasn't really into that. Just the idea of you had one Game & Watch game. You had Mario 1. How many times have you played that? I have Mario 1 on fucking everything. Because it's Mario 1. And then it also gave you Mario Lost Levels. Wow! Mario Lost Levels sucks a dick. Let's just be frank here. But this, you have Legend of Zelda 1, which I would say is one of the top 5 games on the NES. Even competing with the later releases on the NES. Great game. Zelda 2, which I like, but man, that game's infuriating, but I do think that game is sincerely underrated. And what sold me on this motherfucker was Link's Awakening. Crazy. And, it's the original Game Boy version, which I actually like better than the DX version, because the DX version had, like, the color dungeons that just broke the game, and, everyone was like, oh, attach your fucking Game Boy printer, bro. Attach your Game Boy camera. what I grew up with was Link's Awakening. It was one of the first 4 Game Boy games I got when I got a Game Boy Pocket for like my 6th birthday. And yeah, it was hard as balls, and I actually played the other 3 a little bit more because I kept getting stuck in Link's Awakening. And I'm actually going to stream this game in the next few months. But every month I would go back to it, and as my gamer skills increased as a wee lad, I got further and further understanding what the hell Zelda was all about. And Zelda's Link's Awakening, if you've never played it, is a phenomenal game. So this is, whereas with the Steam Deck, I think, everyone should get that. That thing looks awesome. This is a novelty. I have sentimental value when it comes to Link's Awakening. It's such a fantastic game. Probably in the top 3 best Game Boy games, honestly, along with Pokemon. And I don't know, I would have to really like sit down and think about what my top 3 OG Game Boy games would be. But man, that's good. See, this you would actually play more than like a little bit. With the Mario one, it's fucking Mario. You have a million ways to play it, and it's an action game. Not that this isn't an action game, mind you, but I don't have to make frame perfect jumps running full speed, you know what I mean? And you save it anywhere, put it down, do some other shit. It's a clock. Hopefully there's some hidden shit here, but I think this is cool. I'm gonna pick one up, but hey, I would not expect anyone else to pick one up unless you really, really wanted this shit. But I think this is gonna sell a lot more than the Mario one regardless. Alright, next one, and this is a strange one. This is a very strange one. I've been hearing about this for, like, hearing whispers of it for the past year. And only recently seeing some update videos on it, I'm like, oh shit, I think I'm actually sold on this fucking thing too. The Playdate. Now, this is interesting, a very interesting console, where if I had to explain it, you have the A and B button, no start and select, but you have a D-pad and a crank. Some games utilize the crank, but not all games. It's not required. And what they do is you buy the console, and every week you get 2 games added to the mix for 12 weeks, so 24 totals. And then there is open source, so it comes with software where you can make your own games, and then you can, I believe, sideload it. Sideload the game, so there's going to be a community behind this thing. It vaguely reminds me of the Ouya, only not a massive colossal piece of shit. The people who are behind this actually know how to make hardware and know how to make games. Although it's a lot of indie devs, and indie devs can be very pretentious, so if you don't like indie games, stay the fuck away from this thing. If you don't like cute little knickknacks, well, also stay the fuck away from this thing. But I think if you like that, if you have history with the Game Boy, if you really like handheld gaming, if you like little electronic gimmicky things, if you like all of that and think this crank is interesting, this thing looks pretty fucking cool, although very, very niche. And just the whole way, it is good how they advertise it in terms of like the layout and the video, but oh boy, it's very West Coasty. Let's put it that way. They're from Portland, and it fucking shows. Seattle, or maybe it is Seattle. Seattle, Portland. What's the other one? Where's Tommy Wiseau from? Fuck. The one with the goddamn Golden Gate Bridge, where they have all the heroin needles and they have the gay pride parade in your fucking face. That place. They're all, some people call them hipsters. I call them extremely obnoxious because I have to watch my language here on this fucking platform. But let's skip around here. So yeah, they kind of have that same Facebook bullshit of advertising. Oh god. Where it looks like a BuzzFeed article. I think honestly this is my least favorite thing about this thing is just the people who make it.
Hello, it's us, Panic. And I'm Krista.
It's like a fucking BuzzFeed article. And now this.
Playdate update.
Top 10 reasons why Republicans are evil. Right? It's
COVID, among other things,
Yeah,
hasn't made it any easier to make our
it's
first
hard.
ever hardware
It's hard to check out.
Not necessarily going to change the
You know what I
world.
mean? It's like this guy
Are you ready?
just chugs soy, but
Simply pop your Playdate onto the
I
dock.
do like the material they're selling. I just don't like the way they're selling it.
Almost like
But we'll talk about that
keeping
dock.
your
That
battery
dock is
full.
fucking cool.
It is a collection of super.
Yeah, it's got the crank. Let's see if we can see it.
Zipper, and Saturday Edition, which tells the story.
One of Sweet Baby
Jesus. You know what I mean? It's just very, very typical West Coast culture. I know it's just a cultural difference, but my god, this shit drives me crazy. It reminds me of back in the day browsing fucking Facebook, back when I used to have a Facebook, and checking out Twitter. And man, you know all of these people are cancer as fuck on Twitter. But hey, it's a cool little piece of tech. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the tech, not necessarily the people selling it, although, oh god, they're so... people on the West Coast are so just not aware at all of how ridiculous they are. Let's use the term ridiculous. But it's a black and white screen, right? And I mean 1-bit, either black or white. It's not like Game Boy where it's, what would Game Boy be, like 4-bit? Or 2-bit rather, 4 different colors. So it's all either black or white. But it has pretty good resolution, so they're able to use dithering and shading with just those 2 colors. And it looks solid. The only problem is there's no backlight, which sucks. I'm actually really not sure why they did that, but it doesn't bother me too much. I grew up with the Game Boy Pocket. I'm cool with it. But apparently it's loud, it's good, it has a good screen for when there is light, and you get Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all sorts of cool shit. And when the new games are available, it actually lights up. You get a little notification light. So that's kind of the appeal. Is I've heard some people criticize this thing like, oh, but you don't know what games are going to be on this thing. Well, that's a little bit of the appeal. It's a little bit of a Christmas style feeling. Like, oh shit, the new games are out, right? So here's it in action. This game is actually made by the guy who did Katamari Damacy, which is interesting. They have a lot of different devs working on this thing. Some of them, like Bennett Folly or whatever the hell his name is, the guy who did Getting Over It. And that guy is kind of a pretentious cunt. Not the worst, but I mean, it's hard to avoid that kind of thing when you're looking at indie games. But I'm a big fan of indie games, as some of them can really turn me off with being so far up their own ass. But I think overall this thing looks really cool. And overall, I do support indie devs a lot. I honestly hate the whole AAA game dev thing, how they treat their fan base and user base. But enough about that. 2 new games every week. This is season 1. They're doing this in seasons, and ideally they want to do this with more seasons in the future. I'm not sure how they would do that. Hopefully they don't charge too much, but we'll get behind pricing. Here's the developer suite. Comes with its own software, kind of like an Arduino or something. And you can make and share ideas, and then you can sideload them. I'm sure this thing's actually gonna be pretty cool, assuming that the people buying into this thing is likable enough. So here's the main issue. $180. So initially, right? And this is also a California thing, because I know over there in the West Coast, I keep saying California, I know these guys are like from Portland or some shit. All you assholes are the same to me. No, I know there's some cool motherfuckers over there. It's just, oh god. I just hate this kind of culture. But anyway, I know shit be expensive over there, yo. But this is insane. So, obviously, big companies, like I was saying before, can afford to sell at a loss. This doesn't seem to be that big of a company, so you'd expect it to be a little bit more pricey. Initially, it was only going to be 12 games, and it was for $150. I thought that was a little bit overpriced, and I thought, hey, maybe like $120, maybe $130 is more reasonable. But now that's 24, I would think maybe $150 is reasonable, but then they bump up the price to $180. So that's the biggest bullshit element of this thing, because this is, in my mind, maybe $30 overpriced. They would still make a profit at $150. Don't bullshit me. They would still make a profit at that. But pre-orders are very soon, so if this is interested in you, and you can rationalize this, and I fucking understand if you don't, because this is already niche as fuck, I would drop this shit. But here's the stereo dock, which is really cool. And when you have the stereo dock, it comes with software where they have all of these musical suites, musical albums that sound like, you know, retrowave shit, you know, old school beach music. You can use this as a Bluetooth speaker for your own music, which is really, I think you can use it. I mean, yeah, it's Bluetooth. Why wouldn't you? Right? Yeah, like you should be able to connect other things to it and use it as a speaker. I think, pretty sure, hopefully. And it even has some pen holders, which I actually kind of like. It's cute, and you know, this thing's going on your desk anyway, so fuck it. There, I hope you like this dark Sith we're listening to. And they haven't announced a price yet for this, but I wouldn't hold my breath too much, because here's the fucking cover. This is a cover for $30. Fuck off. Fuck off. This thing costs, maybe with the, you know, etched in name and the buttons, maybe like $7 to produce. We'll give them a benefit of the doubt, but you know, $10 would be pretty cheap if you're gonna charge it for that. 15 is kind of pushing it, but you know, I could justify it. 30 is insane, and this is how you know these guys are very cuntish when it comes to the price. That is the biggest issue I have with these fuckers. Oh god. Once again, I love the tech. I kind of hate the people who make this, honestly. For just the pricing and the people. But I mean, I don't think the price of the unit is as offensive as the price of this cover. If the price of the unit was any higher, I don't think anyone would be picking this thing up. I think it's just barely pushing it. But the cover is insane. Fuck you guys for pricing this so high. I mean that from the bottom of my black decrepit heart. Anyway, 400 by 240 1-bit display. You got 16 megabyte of a RAM. It's great, and this thing actually is very small, but yeah, I love it. There's it compared to some dice. But yeah, I actually love the tech here. I just wish this was a little bit smaller of a price. I hope this is going to be a reasonable price. And the cover, these guys can fuck off. And once again, the the super like Pride Fest style presentation is a little bit much, guys. You can tone it down. I know you're tone deaf, but chill. Now this thing, the Arduboy FX. $50, well, 55 for this one. You get 200 games on it right off the bat. And like with the Playdate, the Arduboy FX has it's fully open, full dev support for whoever the hell wants to use it and share things online, and you can sideload it very easy. What this is, it uses Arduino, and if you've never used an Arduino or don't know what the fuck that is like a Raspberry Pi. Only cheaper and less specs, but it's made to be more hands-on and made to be more for, I don't know, little hardware projects, fucking with breadboards, that kind of shit. You know, circuitry. I actually love my Arduino. Dude, they're like 20 or 30 bucks. It's insane. It's insane. But this thing is microscopic in size. I wonder if they have a picture of it. Take my word for it. This thing is like I think honestly slightly smaller than a credit card. It's actually nuts. But you have this super narrow widescreen. It's black because the Arduino is not a powerhouse at all. But you get all these cool, like a SimCity game, a Castlevania game, a Zelda style game, RPGs, blackjack. It's like a 3D platforming game. What's this, like Shoplifter? Space Cab? This is maybe oh, okay, so it's like Metroid. It looks kind of like Master Blaster too. This is fucking crazy. 3D maze RPG, dungeon crawlers. What is this? Tackle box. Mini Rogue. This thing is fucking incredible. This thing steals the show, honestly. Of all the shit, this is the most bang for your buck. I think in the terms of least bang for your buck, probably the that Nintendo Game Boy thing. But once again, that's I like it just because it's, you know, nostalgia, sentimental value. But then next for bang for your buck, I think this easy. I mean, I think this is the most bang for your buck. That one's the least, but excuse me. The Playdate is very niche, but I think it has the potential to be really, really, really cool. Maybe not as cool as this in the Steam Deck, but still very cool if you're into that kind of thing. And the Steam Deck itself, I think that's going to be super mainstream, and justifiably so. I think people are going to be very satisfied by this. But if you never heard about the Arduboy, right now they are sold out, but more orders are coming in I believe September. I think you should pick them up, man. Anyway, that's it for 2020's handheld. We're on this like weird renaissance, I guess, of really fucking cool handhelds. So if this is your thing, I mean, this is my thing. So check it out. If you like the video, hit me up on Twitch or YouTube. If you like to see some random jackass play some random shit, but I do enjoy gaming, but I don't do too many of these videos. Anyway, thanks again, everyone, and peace out.